You're listening to In the Pod, Soybean Updates, a weekly trek into the latest soybean information from NDSU Extension. Weed control in soybeans continues to be challenging, according to Joe Ikley, NDSU Extension weed control specialist. Soybean weed management changes with the soybean stages. Joe, what's the latest on the weed situation?
Yeah, so most areas of the state have gotten plenty of precipitation moisture at this point in the year. So the weeds are there, and they've been there for a while and have been growing, but overall we've been in a relatively cooler weather pattern. So weeds are there and growing, but haven't been growing as fast as we might expect most typical Junes. So now that we have had some heat, and now we're on the longest days of the year, these weeds are set to start growing rapidly. And so for fields that have not had herbicide applications or need additional herbicide applications, we're in a really critical time of the year for making those.
We're approaching the next stage in soybeans, R1. How does weed management change?
Yep, so once we get to the solstice, that's when we start thinking now we'll have shorter nights. Soybeans are going to start thinking about flowering. And so once we start getting flowers in soybean, that becomes a cutoff stage for some of our important herbicides. Top one on my mind is glufosinate. So Liberty 280 or Liberty Ultra now will be the main brand, but plenty of generic options out there. But the labels say up to R1 is when we can apply. So once those soybeans start flowering, then technically we're done applying that product. So it's going to be pretty important to monitor our field to make sure we get these applications made in a timely manner, because certainly for kochia and also for waterhemp, other weeds like common ragweed, it's one of our best products that we have in soybean. We're relying a lot on that product this year, and so just recognizing that growth stage cutoff, we'll be rapidly approaching, certainly in the earlier planted fields.
How are things going with our old pal waterhemp?
Yes, so it's been a tremendous year for waterhemp, if you're waterhemp. It's not really been a fun one if you're trying to fight it. So we've seen a lot of germination early in the year, so we certainly have been battling that one. So hopefully we had some residual products on. In many cases we've had an early post-emergence application by now as well. But considering that we still have a long way to go till canopy closure on these fields, basically any additional rainfall events, we expect some waterhemp will germinate until we get canopy closure. So we always talk about these applications before flowering, considering throwing in additional residual herbicide, usually a group 15 is what we're discussing when it comes to trying to catch additional water hemp. We don't always need that type of a program if you don't have a water hemp issue, but for those battling water hemp, we do anticipate until the canopy closes, any additional rainfall will stimulate additional germination, and we're just trying to keep those late season water hemp from coming up and being an issue.
Joe, what about the test kits you've been talking about?
Yes, we've been advertising these test kits now. This is actually the second year of this program, but each county office will have a kit, and a kit is basically an envelope with 4 small coin envelopes in it. And what we're encouraging folks, if you have kochia or water hemp, we're trying to test for resistance to group 2, group 9 herbicides, that's glyphosate, and our group 14 herbicides. So we might use a lot of that to non-GMO soybean, things like Formicifin, which is Flexstar, will get used quite a lot to try and control water hemp. This year, what is new is we are offering to collect green foxtail or wild oat samples. So there will be one little envelope in there that's pre-labeled green foxtail or wild oat. Those results won't come back this year, not until the spring. That's trying to develop additional testing to be rapid tests next year. Kochia and water hemp, if you submit the samples within 7 days of the National Ag Genotyping Center receiving that sample, you will get results back to the email or the contact that you put on that sheet.
How do we get one of these kits, Joe?
Each county office will have these kits. Most of the REC centers will also have a kit. If your county office or local REC has run out, feel free to reach out and contact myself or the National Ag Genotyping Center. These kits are sponsored by the North Dakota Soybean Council and the Corn Utilization Council this year.
Thanks, Joe. Our guest has been Joe Ikley, NDSU Extension Weed Control Specialist. You're listening to In the Pod, Soybean Updates, a weekly trek into the latest soybean information from NDSU Extension, supported by the North Dakota Soybean Council.